I am 10 months into starting my business, which is called the Lotus Wheel. So last year, I was fortunate enough that I did have a chunk of savings. So I was able to take the leap and leave my job and start this business, Lotus Wheel. 10 months on, it's doing quite well, and I'm finally able to start paying myself and start seeing money coming out. This week will be 50 grand in revenue. The biggest lesson would be just getting momentum, not worrying about mistakes so much, to see what's working and what's not, and then take those learnings and just keep the momentum going. Wealth was always important. When we got pocket money for doing jobs, we would put the coins in the bags and write out the check slip, almost like a fun game. I think it gives you more of a sense of autonomy and freedom.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
We really loved your episode, and when we edited it, the first attempt, it was such great content, but Helena was not really making any noise.
Yeah, so just me talking to myself.
And I love your take on investing and building wealth. I thought it'd be great to revisit that. And then actually kind of maybe talk a bit about what's going on in your business at the moment, because that's always really interesting, how it's growing and the challenges and the opportunities that come with that. That'd be kind of fun today.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what are you doing today? Like, what is life, where are you at in life now? And where are you going in the not too distant future?
Yeah, so I am 10 months into starting my business.
Which is called?
Which is called the Lotus Wheel.
Right.
So last year, I was fortunate enough that I did have a chunk of savings in the form of shares and money in my bank account. So I was able to take the leap and leave my job and start this business, Lotus Wheel. And the first few months, you're having to support yourself and put money into product and the website and setting everything up. But now, 10 months on, it's doing quite well, and I'm finally able to start paying myself and start seeing money coming out. It's
Nice.
Slowly been growing, and then this week will be 50 grand in revenue.
Nice, congratulations.
Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah, so been chuffed to be at this size now, and had the savings to be able to get it started in the first place.
Where do you think your wealth mindset came from?
I think growing up, wealth was always important for a few reasons. I think when we were young, Mum set us up with bank accounts when we were 5, and when we got pocket money for doing jobs, we would put the coins in the bags and write out the check slip.
Yes.
And put it in. And when you're little, it's the only mail you get. Once a month, you'd get your bank statement, and you wouldn't know what's in your bank until the month, and then you'd see if it's going up. And it was almost like a fun game to see your wealth accumulate from that age. And I think it gives you more of a sense of autonomy and freedom. My parents were quite frugal, and so you'd want a new hockey stick, or you'd want this or that, and Dad would say no, and so having your own wealth meant that you had a bit more freedom to carve out your own direction, without having to beg your dad for all the things you want.
Bank of Dad.
yeah, exactly. So you don't have to. It was satisfying not having to grovel to Dad.
So, how did you mentioned earlier that you had worked hard enough? I'm not going to say luck in terms of getting that money to be able to launch your business. How did you generate that money?
Yeah, I think the best way is to be frugal. I think of wealth in terms of weeks that you could survive not on a paycheck of
Okay.
having a job. And so if you're on 50 grand and your expenses are 50 grand and you've got nothing in the bank, then you can't last a week. But if you can get your expenses down to 25 grand and get 25 grand in the bank, then now you can last a year. So I think that's the first way that I look at building out a time runway that allows you to take the direction that you want, whether that's starting a business or going back and studying or taking time off to spend with your kids or whatever your direction is.
Okay. How did you come up with the idea of Lotus Wheel? Like, what was it that made you go, okay, that's the idea that I'm going to pour everything into?
Yeah, I think it came from a few past experiences and a few past successes. I was always intrigued and interested in starting my own business. So at university, it's always a good time to try and start a business because you've got a lot of time and your expenses are quite low and not much obligations. So there was a couple of businesses that me and my friends tried to start. One, we would buy up the textbooks that the second years didn't want,
Yeah.
and then sell them back to the first years.
Yeah.
And the second years were too lazy to go to the hall, so you'd just offer them $20 at their door, and they'd normally take it. And then you'd go to the halls and set up a wee stand and sell them for $100.
Wow.
So we made a little money that, or
Yeah.
maybe only a couple grand, but
Yeah.
at the time it seemed like a lot. And then we started setting up tutoring for the people in our classes and for the papers we'd done before, and that was a bit better. Maybe we were making 10 or 20 grand, and so you build on little successes, and then straight after uni, I was working as a grad at PwC, and two of my friends had started this business called Heartspace, and they asked if I wanted to join and grow the e-commerce business with them, and I jumped on, and we went from selling a few mats to a few thousand, and so from that I learned how to grow an e-commerce business.
Okay.
And then so did that for 5 years, and off the back of that, Lotus Wheel seemed like a good idea. I'd seen that these products were selling really well in the US, and I'd had the e-commerce experience, so I set it up to start selling in New Zealand and Oz and launching over in Europe at the end of this year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how do you launch over in Europe? What does that look like?
It needs your tax and business setup I'm going into the UK first.
Yep.
So got my tax and my business set up there, and then I need a partner warehouse, somewhere that I'll send all the product, and then they'll send it out to the customers for me, and that's it. And then connect it to my website. Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
So how much has networking played in your ability to build your businesses, do you think?
I think networking in the traditional sense, probably not much in terms of, say, going to business events and meeting strangers and swapping business cards. But networking in the sense of being, say, at university and making friends, and those friends are starting a business, and then they ask you to join, or you've got a cousin who starts a business and you chat about how it's going, and you just learn by chatting with the friends and family, then a lot.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't have had those early successes in business without friends and family inviting me into their businesses, and then I wouldn't have had the confidence to start one myself. So in the non-traditional sense, then hugely important, the people who are around you and give you a peek behind the curtain how a business is run.
Okay. So wealth, I mean, it's come up in all the other podcasts. It's multifaceted, right? It's not just finance. What does wealth mean to you, and how have you tried to grow that side of wealth, if you have?
Yeah, I think for me, wealth would be autonomy and freedom, and that runway of time builds up resilience in the time that you could support yourself without a job or without income coming in, and that gives you the freedom to take risks and start businesses that you're passionate about, or start businesses with people that you admire, and you wouldn't be able to take those opportunities unless you had that wealth. So it gives you that control over the direction that you take in life.
Okay, and so there's balance, right? There's work, play, friends, family, that kind of thing. How do you balance that, and how do you look after yourself within all of that as well?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the game of growing a business. It is almost like a game.
Okay.
The same way that it's you play sport, or you have those strategy video games where you're trying to build out your empire. So I think I just enjoy it. So I don't think of a work-life balance. I don't think I do work until I'm burnt out, and then I have to take a break. Or I don't think of work as something that burns me out. It's something that I quite enjoy doing.
Okay.
But outside of work, I also love sport. So always having some sort of exercise in the day keeps me feeling charged.
What kind of exercise are you into at the moment?
At the moment, I'm training for an Ironman.
Wow, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. I did my first Ironman this March.
Okay.
And loved the training, and a few of my friends, they do it as well. So we have a bit of a bike crew that go out each week, and so it's nice to have that as something that gives you progress outside of work.
Yeah.
So if you're hitting roadblocks at work, or not seeing progress for a few weeks here and there, then at least you've got some progress in your training.
Yeah, seeing the achievement, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you found, now that you've been 10 months into the Lotus Wheel and the other companies that you've built, has your idea of wealth changed, say, from when you were at university until now?
I think it's mostly stayed the same. I think, in terms of how I looked at wealth at university, and how I look at it now, being that wealth gives you the ability to work on the things that you want to, with the people that you want to.
So it sounds like through your experience, it's almost kind of embedded it. Do you know what I mean? It's just, reinforced that idea around wealth and how you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think having experiences running my own business and having a couple years in the corporate world, it's good to have those contrasts, because I think when I did have jobs in the corporate world, it gives you quite a strong sense of when I didn't have that control and autonomy. Like, you don't choose your coworkers, your boss hires your coworkers, and then so you don't choose who you work with, and then you don't really get to choose what you work on. Your boss will more or less direct you on what they want you to work on, you might disagree, but you
still
at the
have
end
to
of the
do it.
they're in charge. So
Okay.
yeah.
What is one of the lessons that you have learnt along the way with, going from a couple of businesses at uni to building the Lotus Wheel? What's kind of the biggest lesson you've learnt?
I think the biggest lesson would be just getting momentum and then not worrying about mistakes so much, but always keeping momentum. And if you can just make little bets along the way, so a couple $1,000s here or there, to see what's working and what's not, and then take those learnings and just keep the momentum going, rather than trying to get everything perfect up front. Because if you're trying to get things perfect, you can end up just taking so long that by the time you do ship it, it can be too late.
Yeah. Okay. So what does your world look like in 5 years' time? What do you hope for it to look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends a lot on the state of my wealth, but I like the Bill Gates roadmap that he made a lot of wealth and then he used that wealth to get into philanthropy.
Yes.
So I think if I did get to that point where I had a lot of wealth, I studied economics at university, and I really enjoyed that aspect of international economics and the economics of developing countries, and how small investments there can have a big impact on the prosperity of the world's poorest. So if there was a lot of wealth, then philanthropy.
That's cool.
But if it's still in that growing wealth phase, then I think it would be a mixture of growing the e-commerce businesses that I owned, but also having, say, a holding company where I have a course or program where I can train up other people to start their own e-commerce business and have, say, a 10% investment in their companies, and be helping them grow their companies.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to start a venture studio for e-commerce?
Yeah, I think I'd like to, yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm.
And so it'd be funded by the course, and the course would basically invest in the people that you felt were your best students.
I think, yeah, it would probably be a little bit of that. It would be either I select people of high potential and give them, seed money of $50,000
To get the
start the
inventory and
e-commerce
such.
business, and then I give them the online course that they can follow along, so that it's not a big time sink for me, and you could do that with dozens or hundreds of people, rather than if you had to go through the steps with each time personally, then you'd be able to do it with less people.
What is the sort of life cycle of an e-commerce business like? What's like success in the e-commerce world, I guess? Like, like in the most kind of known way, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess Allbirds would probably be one of the best examples of
Okay.
e-commerce. Like they're built on a Shopify platform. Most of their sales are through their website, and they expanded to the US, and I think their revenue got to 100 million per year, and they're selling a product that people buy each year. So they've got a repeatable product. So they'll probably have a consistent revenue of 100 million. So that's probably
Interesting.
a success story.
Yeah. Okay. So like being like a brand that's somewhat enduring. I guess we don't know yet with the Allbirds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because I think they're still in the fad stage, potentially.
Yes.
Because
And
actually Lululemon
Yeah.
is probably, but I guess
they're probably more brick and mortar.
Yeah. I mean, probably not today so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess, yeah. Because Allbirds spent such a long time developing their product, and it's actually very unique. Like, there's actually a lot of R&D that went into Allbirds
Yeah.
compared to, I guess, maybe your standard e-commerce play.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel like you're going to make Lotus Wheel enduring, or do you think that you will start other brands that are adjacent?
I think other brands that are adjacent and having one business at the start that is successful and can give you some cash flow to then set up your next business or invest in other businesses. I think Warren Buffett's first business that he invested in was a paper mill business.
Yep.
And it was, no one wanted it to see it as an attractive investment. It only had a short time frame, but it had really good cash flow. And so he used that cash to invest in the next businesses and the next businesses.
Yeah, interesting.
So you're obviously forward thinking. So then what does the next business look like for you, do you think?
Yeah, hard to say, but I think one easy business model to explore is that there's a lot of products and successful businesses that start in the US and they never expand out because
It's not worth it.
yeah, not worth it. The logistics is quite difficult when you're in the US and you're selling to 25% of the world economy, and you think, should I set up logistics to be able to attract New Zealand customers and deliver my product to New Zealand customers, and it will add 0.5% to your target market, and add double your logistics problems. So it's not really something that they look to do. So it gives people in New Zealand a unique advantage to get started, because there's lots of good businesses in the US that don't operate here.
So is that something you're constantly watching, the US market and what's happening over there and what you could bring back home?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then once you build up momentum in New Zealand, the little petri dish, then it's an easy skip and a jump to the Australia, and then from there Europe, and then once you're there, you've got a bit of momentum to then take that momentum and try and challenge the big boys in the US.
Yeah, wow, okay. Do you think, is there any people that you've had that have been quite influential for you in terms of building your wealth mindset?
Yeah, I think one of my cousins, James, I'll have chats with him maybe once a month, and he's 4 or 5 years older than me, and he's been running his business for probably 10 years now, and so just talking to him about the highs and lows of business, and then the same with a couple of friends that are running their businesses, and just talking about the highs and lows, and it just makes it a lot more, gives you confidence that you could start one, because these are people that you know well, and then they give you a really good personal view of their business and the highs and lows, and you think, if they're doing it, I could probably do it too.
Okay. Have you any thoughts around when you get to the point where you can help other people build their businesses? Is that based in New Zealand? Is that looking at helping anyone and everyone, or is it focusing on a particular group? I mean, I realise this is 5 years in the future. You may not have thought that far ahead yet, but because you sound like that you're coming from a place where you want to help people overall. So what does that look like in that space?
Yeah, so I have started my my online course.
Yeah.
Making just screen share videos of my computer, and just stepping through the steps that I've been through to get Lotus Wheel from an idea to where it is now. And I have sent it to a few friends, and so I've now got 3 friends that have started their business. They've registered a company in New Zealand, and
that's cool.
they've all got a couple hundred units of their products being shipped to New Zealand at the moment.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see how they go, and be able to support them along the way.
And so, are you getting feedback from them on what you're delivering to them? Because you alluded to earlier, you're aiming for getting things better you can't do things from perfect and then roll it out. You've got to build to get there. So are you getting good feedback from them?
Yeah, so the questions that they have are always good feedback, because then it's obviously things that I've missed in my online course. So then from their questions, I make another video and squeeze it into the course so that I'm making it more comprehensive. And yeah, and they're focusing rather on making things perfect from the start, just getting momentum. And so they've all bought their first 100 units, and their websites are still kind of under development, but they'll be all ready by the time the product arrives, and then they'll just focus on trying to get the 100 units sold, whatever way they can, whether through digital marketing or knocking on doors, or however you can sell them.
Cool. Okay. So, you know, we've talked about short term, what that might look like for you. If you think about, you know, you've arrived, you've built your wealth, what does that look like for you? Is it the same kind of thing but on a much bigger scale? Or, you know, let's say you're 65 and you've hit theoretical retirement age. Do you stop? Or, you know, is it a time thing? Is there a dollar figure on it? Is there a life expectation on it?
Yeah, I think as you get older, you probably slow down a bit, and you're probably less on the tools yourself, and maybe stepping more back, more and more an advisory role. But I think I do just enjoy the game of business.
Game.
The
It is,
game,
it's
yeah.
a game. It's the best game.
Yeah,
I would say that running money is probably the hardest game.
yeah,
Like in terms of most competitive.
yeah.
Or that I've ever experienced, and I would say that startups is a close second. And it's fun.
Yeah,
The game theory of it.
yeah. And it's as opposed to sport, which is a finite game you play for 80 minutes or whatever the game you're playing. And
The lifetime of your career is so
Yeah.
short, right?
yeah, but in business, it's almost an infinite game. There's no whistle that says the game's over. So you're always looking to grow it, and there's no set amount of players. You're always trying to invite more people into the game. And the rules are always changeable and flexible. So yeah, it's a game that keeps on going, and I guess the way to win is to keep the game going, and not to make any disastrous decisions that
End the game.
that push you out of the game. Yeah, end the
Yeah,
game.
that you can't come back from, right?
Yeah, that you can't come back from.
So you're still quite early on in your journey, but what advice would you give to someone starting out who are trying to build their wealth?
I would say work on getting your expenses down and your income up, and so making that gap there, because that is your gap that will build you a buffer of cash in your bank account. And then say you've got 20 grand in your bank account and your expenses are 1 grand a week. Now you've got a 20-week runway if you wanted to start a business or change direction. And so you want to start working on that runway. You don't even need to have an idea of what you want that runway for, but once you've got a 20-week runway, now you can choose what you want to do with it.
Okay, awesome.
How do you to just follow on from that? How do you then think about basically building an asset base after that? Like, do you care about where it's at? Like, or do you actually just feel that your main business is the only thing that matters? Like, I guess it's a diversification thing mixed with like the thing that you control most.
Yeah, I think there's those two trains of thoughts. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. And then I think Warren Buffett said, or you want to put all your eggs in one basket and just watch that basket like a hawk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
So I think in starting to build your wealth, once you've got 20 grand of cash in your bank account, then I think the best way to grow it from there is all your eggs in one basket and really focus on it in the sense of starting your own business or really investing in how to leverage your career to increase your income dramatically. And because if you want to diversify and put it in the stock market or a diverse asset allocation, then you're probably going to be around 7% interest. So taking 20 grand to 100 grand at 7% might take it might take a while. But by starting a business, you can take 20 grand to 100 grand in maybe 1 year or a couple of years. And then once your businesses are doing really well, then I'd look to diversify and put some of your money into an asset allocation of shares and bonds.
Is that what you've done?
I'm still in the growing phase, so
Yep.
I've had to take all my money out of my Super Life account of my shares and bonds and sell my little bit of Bitcoin, and so yeah, I'm in the putting it into the business phase and watching my nest egg like
Very
a hawk.
closely.
Yeah. But soon I'll start putting some eggs back in other
Are you
baskets.
still involved with the family share club, even though that you have you're allocating that capital elsewhere for now? But do you still
yes.
run?
Yeah, still
That's
in
cool.
still in the family share club. That's there's 10 of us, 10 cousins, and we put $100 in a month. So I've still got $100 to spare each month for the family share club, and that's a cool one to have. The cousins of different ages. Probably our oldest cousin is 35 and our youngest will be 18. So some people have a bit more experience and are able to give knowledge on finance and starting businesses to the younger ones.
It's really cool. It's a cool legacy.
Yeah, that is fun, especially when there's 10 of you.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then to finish up, what is the one roadblock that you think you could give a little bit of advice on to help people that are actually specifically starting an e-commerce business? Like the kind of gotcha that a lot of people get when they are starting an e-commerce business.
I think just getting momentum at the start, and I think you don't have to create a new product. I think people think, oh, I have to think of a new product, but you can just find a product that's selling well in a country overseas but is not selling in New Zealand, and find a supplier that will make that one, and then create a simple website and only order 100 units of it, and then start taking pictures of your friends and family using it and turn them as your first ads, and just start getting those first few sales. And once you get a couple of sales through your website, the excitement of that will motivate you to take the next steps and refine it and make it a bit more polished and probably get it to the level that you thought it should be at.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you
so much for coming on again.
Yeah, no, good to be back.
Yeah. Great. Awesome. Thanks.